I cut my parents off after they betrayed me twice. Now I'm rich and they're begging to come back into my life. I am 29, went no contact with my parents years ago, and I never thought I'd hear from them again. But money changes people. And when I got rich, guess who suddenly remembered they had a son? Let me back up. I grew up in a house where love was conditional. Mostly it was reserved for my little sister, the golden child. My parents adored her and made it obvious I was an afterthought. I used to think I was being dramatic, but when you're the kid getting a generic supermarket cake for your birthday while your sister gets a backyard carnival, it kinda sticks with you. The pattern never stopped. Straight A's? Ignored. Regional science fair winner? That's nice, but Amy has a dance recital coming up. I got into a summer program at Harvard, and they couldn't even drive me to the airport because, yep, Amy had a performance that day. It messed me up. Not gonna lie. Took years of therapy and a boatload of internal work to finally realize it wasn't my fault. By the time I graduated from college, I had a decent job in finance and eventually bought my own place. No thanks to them. Then came the first betrayal. My grandfather, my dad's dad, passed away and left a sizable inheritance. And get this, he split it equally among the grandkids. That meant I was set to receive about $500,000. I was stunned, elated. Finally, something good. My parents? Not so much. Amin West. They cornered me one night and told me I should give it all to Amy because she needs it more. She was living in their basement, working part-time at a coffee shop, and basically floating through life like a dandelion in the wind. I said no. Respectfully at first, then firmly. That's when the guilt trip started. After all we've done for you. Right. You're being selfish. Sure. But here's where it went nuclear. My dad, who was also the executor of the will, decided he was going to reinterpret Grandpa's wishes and give my portion to Amy. Just take it. As if he had the authority. I lost it. Not only was it illegal, it was just so on brand for how little they thought of me. I ended up going to my grandmother, my grandfather's widow, and told her everything. Turns out she already knew my parents had tried to convince Grandpa to leave everything to Amy years ago. He refused. He'd even added a clause in the will that anyone who challenged the distribution would lose their share. My grandma? She wasn't having it. She lawyered up, pulled in the other executor, and even got my dad's siblings involved. They shut my parents down hard. I got my full inheritance. My dad got removed as executor. My parents were humiliated. Of course they blamed me. Said I had torn the family apart. Told me I'd never be welcome in their home again. My mom cried and said I'd proven I never loved them, and my dad threatened to cut me out of their will. Spoiler, didn't care. That was betrayal number 1. You'd think that'd be the end of it. I certainly did. But betrayal number 2? That was even worse. After that blow-up, I went no contact. And for years, it was blissful silence. I moved, changed jobs, built my career, and thanks to that inheritance and some smart investments, I made a lot of money. Like, startup successful money. I went from barely scraping by to being financially set by 28, and wouldn't you know it, that's when my parents reached out again. Like clockwork, it started with an email from my mom. "We miss you. We just want to talk." Then calls. Then messages through extended family. Then Amy got involved too, sending guilt-laced texts about how we're still siblings and family is everything. I was skeptical, obviously. But a small part of me, probably the inner child still looking for approval, thought, maybe they've changed. I agreed to meet them. Big mistake. They laid it on thick. Apologies. Regrets. Talk about mending fences and starting fresh. And I'll admit, for a second, it felt good. I thought maybe we could build something. Adult to adult. A reset. Then one day I found out they had again been trying to manipulate things behind my back. A relative let slip that my parents were planning to adjust some family investments in Amy's favor, money that should have been split evenly between us. And the kicker? They were trying to convince relatives that I had agreed to it, using my name, without telling me. I confronted them. My mom cried, my dad doubled down. Amy needs it more. Again with the same excuse, no accountability, no apology. That was it. I was done. Blocked them. Changed my number. Cut contact with Amy too. I was tired of being the scapegoat. Tired of being manipulated. Tired of being expected to set myself on fire to keep them warm. And now? I live a peaceful, quiet life. I'm financially independent. I've got a close-knit circle of friends, a found family that actually gives a damn. My anxiety is down. My therapist says I've grown more in the last 2 years than I had in the decade before. Meanwhile, my parents? Well, word is they're not doing so hot. Estranged from most of the extended family. Financial stress. Still clinging to Amy like a life raft. They tried to reach me again recently. Another email. This one said, "We're proud of you." I didn't reply. So after I blocked them, life was quiet. Blissfully so. For the first time, there was no drama. No gaslighting. No awkward family dinners where I felt like a guest in my own bloodline. I dove into work, invested more, got into fitness, started dating someone who actually respects me. My therapist said it was like I'd come out of emotional quarantine. And then, out of nowhere, Amy reached out. It was a plain email. No emojis. Just, "Hey, I know things got messed up. But I thought you should know Mom isn't doing well. Dad lost a lot in some investments. Things are kind of falling apart." There it was. The opening play. I didn't respond. A few weeks later, I ran into a cousin at a wedding. He told me my parents had been leaning on extended family hard. Asking for help. Trying to guilt them into sending money. Blaming me for taking what wasn't mine. Classic. They were saying I'd turned my back on family and left poor Amy to care for them. Mind you, these are the same people who tried to rob me blind and then ghosted me for years. But now that I had a nice place, a stable life, and, let's be honest, money, suddenly, I was supposed to be the savior. And then came the letter. Like, a physical letter. Handwritten, which is wild, because I honestly didn't know my dad remembered how to hold a pen. It was a guilt trip of Olympic proportions. All about how family sticks together, and how they may have made mistakes, but I needed to be the bigger person. They said they were about to lose the house. That Amy was struggling too. That if I could just help this once, they'd never ask for anything again. They even included some old photos. Me as a baby, my dad holding me, the 4 of us at some beach trip I barely remember. I stared at that last one for a long time. I looked so happy, carefree, like a kid who hadn't realized yet he was second best. I thought about what to do. I drafted a few replies. Some angry, some passive-aggressive, one that just said, LOL. But in the end, I didn't write back. Because here's the thing, helping them would have been easy. A check. A wire transfer. I wouldn't even feel it. But the emotional cost? It'd be massive. It'd say, "You can treat me like garbage, and I'll still come running. I'm done playing that role." Amy kept emailing. She eventually said she was moving out, couldn't take living with them anymore. She started therapy. Said she's realizing just how toxic everything was growing up. I don't hate her, for what it's worth. I think she was as much a product of their dysfunction as I was, just on the golden child side of the scale. We've started talking again. Slowly. Cautiously. But it feels different now. Adult. Equal. She told me our parents blame her now too. For not getting married. For not having kids yet. For not being enough. The irony, huh? When I was the overachiever, I got ignored. Now that she's not living up to their standards, she's getting a taste of it too. And still, they don't get it. They haven't apologized. Not really. They want forgiveness without accountability. Love without effort. Well, I've got a new definition of family now. It's the friends who showed up for me when I was at my lowest. The mentors who guided me without expecting anything in return. The people I've met who have no blood relation to me, but would pick up the phone at 2 a.m. without hesitation. That's family. My actual parents, they're just people I used to know. The last I heard, they lost the house. Moved in with some relative who doesn't really want them there. My dad apparently tried to start some business venture that flopped. Mom's health isn't great. Amy helps when she can, but even she's taking space. She said she finally understands why I walked away. As for me, I'm doing good. I launched my own financial consultancy last year, small but thriving. I volunteer twice a month at a youth center, helping kids from chaotic homes figure out money, boundaries, and self-worth. It feels like I'm breaking the cycle, even if it's just one person at a time. I bought a cabin upstate for weekend getaways. It's quiet, peaceful. Sometimes I sit on the porch with coffee and think about how far I've come from that ignored kid with the supermarket birthday cake. My parents taught me a lot, mostly through bad example, but I'll give them this. They taught me exactly the kind of parent I don't want to be someday.